what are you hoping to get today at this event?
More understanding of what we're trying to accomplish so it can take us closer to our goal.
Have you been able to leverage from these type of networks?
Oh, of course, of course. I mean, I found buyers since I'm a wholesaler myself. So finding buyers here all the time, partnered with a few different people on different projects. So value every day.
Value every day. Value every day. What do you think about these children real estate events?
Great way to meet people, learn about some new things, and talk about my favorite topic in the world, which is real estate.
And what have you been able to extract from these events?
The main thing I learned about is different ways to invest, learning about wholesaling to an extent, making friends actually, and friends that have the same type of mentality that I'm either trying to get or that I share already with.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, Josh, tell us a little bit of what you're going to be teaching the audience here in Florida.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about business acquisitions and why it is extremely important if you are a real estate investor, why you need to have business acquisitions in your life.
What other advice will you specifically tell the people today, or even the ones behind the camera looking for their first real estate investment? What are the things that you think they should look before they jump into that first opportunity?
You know, I think you need to invest in yourself first, because at the end of the day, you don't want to invest your money and you don't know what the hell you're doing. So my advice would be is learn how to, find deals, learn how to call leads, learn how to speak to brokers, learn all those things first that you can do for free without ever spending $1 of your money. And then also, in addition to that, get a mentor. Find somebody that you can emulate and walk through the path that they've already walked through and not make the same mistake. So, example, I have a nutritionist, I have a trainer, because I want to get better in my health. I want to get better in losing body fat and all those things. So I know I can't do it by myself. I have to hire someone that has already done it and get a mentor. That's probably the easiest and quickest way to speed up time.
That's pretty good, actually. Thanks.
So my name is Nancy. For those who do not know me, I am a full-time real estate investor and a consultant. I started my new business about 2.5 years ago. Doing this full-time, I fix and flip properties, and I also do consultations. I raised about over $3 million this past 2.5 years for my fix and flip. I do what I love, and I love what I do. So that's who I am. Here's George now.
Awesome. And then for those who don't know me, my name is George. I'm so sorry. It bothers me as well. So I've been in real estate for about 8 years. I've been wholesaling since then. About 3 years, I started flipping, buying some short-term rentals, and if I get bored, maybe some piece of land. And I've been doing this now along with Nancy, this event, for about 2.5 years, consistently growing the community, learning from each other, and making things happen. The main reason why this event started, it was because I wanted to show that the average Joe, meaning everyone, can start a real estate investment business. So yeah. I want to give a special thanks to Josh for coming down from New Orleans and to talk to you guys, share a little bit of his knowledge. And with more further ado, I'm going to pass the mic to him so he can tell you more about him.
Awesome. Thank you all for having me here. I am from New Orleans, and I have to say this weather is awesome out here. So I'm a recovering real estate addict. So how many people are in real estate here? All right. How many people have a ton of equity in their real estate? How many people can't pay their bills? Me. That was me. So I was a real estate investor for almost 18 years, and I built up a huge portfolio. Anybody here know what the BRRRR method is? Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. I perfected that method from 2008 all the way until 2021, 22. I built up a $25 million real estate portfolio with zero of my own money. And I sold that portfolio just last year. And so what I'm going to talk to you today about is the pain points that I had as a real estate investor, where I had a shit ton of equity, but I couldn't pay my bills at the end of the month. I had no cash flow. The minute I had to replace a roof, or the minute I had to replace a water heater, I didn't have any money. So I knew there had to be another way, and that's when I got into mergers and acquisitions and business acquisitions. What really sparked my interest, and which we'll get into here in a little bit, is imagine, so in New Orleans, right, I could take $150,000 and go buy a duplex or a double in what we call New Orleans. And I could take $150,000 and get $2,000 a month in rent, okay? So let's call it after debt service and repairs, maintenance, capex, all that good stuff. Let's say I'm left over with like $500 a month. What if I told you you could take that same $150,000 and go buy a business, a $1.5 million business, and create $200,000 a year in cash flow? That's what I did, and I did that like 7 times. Way bigger deals, like 7-figure deals, 8-figure deals. That's what I'm going to share with you here tonight about how I did it, how I overcame it. Also how I had a $1 million loss just recently 2 years ago in Miami, and how I was able to recover from that loss, turn it into a multi-7-figure deal. So
It had to be
yeah.
here.
What's that? It had to be in Miami. I know. I didn't come back here for like a couple of months because I was a little jaded, but I'm happy to be back now. So
I want you to, because we had like a catchy topic on the flyer, and I want you to touch base a little bit about that. What was the feeling of loss? What was it that was going through your mind when that happened? Can you tell us? Can you think a little bit about that?
yeah. So how many people flip properties here? Flip. How many people have lost money on their flips? It's okay, don't be scared. It's all right, it happens. So look, I've lost money on my flips, but nothing compares to losing $1 million on a business acquisition deal. That was probably the lowest point in my life. I was down here in Miami. I bought this company. Actually, I'll go even back. I'll tell the story. So I went on a cruise for Thanksgiving out of Miami, and I was going through Biz Buy Sell. For those of you who don't know, Biz Buy Sell is the MLS of business acquisition. So when you get home tonight, you can go check it out. You'll see all these businesses on there for sale. I was on a cruise in Miami, sailing down, leaving Port of Miami. I get the offer got accepted that I put on this deal. You know, I was all excited. Then I had to go into capital raising mode, right? So I had to go raise $1 million to put down on this deal. So I went into capital raising mode. The entire week I spent with my family. I'm raising capital. By like the 5th day, we finally raised all the money we needed to do the deal. We did the deal. I closed on it a couple of days before Christmas. And you know, Christmas is usually a joyous time. Pretty happy, you know, your family. A couple of days before Christmas, the company was averaging about $10,000 a day in revenue. So you can imagine when the day we closed, I'm like all excited. I'm like looking at the Stripe account. I'm like getting excited. I'm like, okay, today's the day. We're gonna get like $10,000 in the bank. Here we go. And then all of a sudden, the day we closed, I wake up. The next morning, I wake up, ready to see money start flowing into the account. Crickets. No money. I think we did like $250 our first day. I was like, holy shit, something is wrong. Really wrong. So anyway, through the process of all that, we found out what happened. I can't get into it because I'm under an NDA and I can't disclose what happened, but we settled out of court, and I ended up still losing $1 million. So I had no choice but to sell my real estate. So thank God I had the real estate available to me. Had no choice to sell the real estate to get some liquid capital to pay off my investors. Rule number 1, I will tell you this: never, ever lose $1 of your investors' money, ever. I don't care if you got to sell your personal home. You do whatever you got to do to protect that capital, because what that will do is that will allow you to do the deals like I did next, that allowed me to get a multi-million-dollar deal. Had I lost that capital, I would have been done. I would have just been gutted and done. And so, I made sure that I paid my investors back. That time was a really, really dark time. I actually hired a coach, believe it or not. I believe 100% in mentors. I hired a mindset coach. His name is Mike Kicko. He's out of St. Louis. And that guy saved me, because what he did was he took my mindset from a scarcity, scared mindset to a creation mode mindset. So every decision I was making was out of fear. I was thinking about what could go wrong, how can I get out of this, all the bad things, versus how can I go find more money? How can I go find more deals? So once I flipped that switch and I started going into creation mode, all of a sudden shit just started coming out of thin air, like magically appearing, of the deal that I found next. He took, go ahead.
No, like the gap in the game.
What's that?
Gap in the game. that you were thinking about the gap.
Yes, absolutely. And so he told me, he's like, Josh, you need to start manifesting what you want. You got to get crystal clear on exactly what you want. So he has a process called the 3 C's. It's called clarity, commitment, and certainty. Once I adapted that model, I got really clear on what I wanted. I wanted to get out of this freaking mess. I wanted to get another multi-million-dollar deal, and I wanted to be able to have the cash flow again that could restart my journey. So I got very clear on that. So I was like, that's what I want. Second was, okay, now I have to commit to that. So how do I commit to that? I have to start taking action towards those goals. So what did I do? Every person I spoke to, I was like, hey, I need a deal. Hey, I need a deal. I need a cash flow deal. I need a deal. Like everybody I spoke to. Mark, who is my GM, he's our business development manager for our global company. Him and I were on the phone one day. I was like, hey, Mark, I'm like, I need a deal, man. Like, you gotta help me. Like, anybody you know that's got a deal, anybody want to sell, like anything, I need a deal. I just got some cash from real estate. I needed to pick up my cash flow. Imagine having $50,000 a month of attorney bills, and you just lost $1 million. You're losing $50,000 a month, and you're running a company that had 4 locations with all the expenses and 0 the income. That's what I was up against. That was my hill. So I told Mark, I was like, I just need a company that can generate me like $50K in cash a month. He's like, well, I actually have one. And I'm like, okay, tell me more. He goes, but you actually passed on this deal 3 years ago. And I was like, well, shit, Mark, give it to me, man. I need everything I can get right now. So he did. He presented me the deal. I ended up talking with the seller, and we closed on the deal. This guy was in a pickle just as much as I was in a pickle. So I believe everything happens for a reason, and this was one of those things where, man, the stars just aligned. So paid this guy $150,000 down. He was bleeding. Go figure. He was a real estate investor, right? He was bleeding.
That was the seller?
What was that?
That was the seller?
That was the seller. He was a real estate investor, and he had flips that were going south, and he was funneling money from this company into his real estate company. And so this company was hurting because he was taking all the money out. So I was like, well, I don't need all the money. I just need $50K a month. He was like using way more than that. The company was generating a decent amount. Gave him $150,000. That was his down payment. I went in. I assumed his $1 million SBA loan. Imagine, just lost $1 million. I'm losing $50K a month. And then I have to go and tell my wife, hey, by the way, I'm going to get this guy $150 grand. I'm going to go assume another $1 million SBA loan. She looked at me cross-eyed. But that is what you need in this industry, whether you're in real estate, whether you're in business acquisitions. You got to have guts. We only have one life, and you got to go for it. So,
Yep.
And go ahead.
No. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So.
I agree. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
So I paid the guy $150,000, assumed his $1 million SBA loan, and this is where the cool kind of serendipitous part all happens. I go to Bank of America about 3 months later to go change my information on the bank accounts. And the guy's name's John. He's standing there right outside of Bank of America. I walk up to him, stick my hand out, shake his hand. Hey, man, how you doing? My name's Josh. He's like, hey, how you doing, man? John. And he goes, you're an angel. And I looked at him. I'm like, angel? Like, what are you talking about? He goes, you saved me from losing my house. And I literally looked at him and go, you saved me from losing mine. So everything happens for a reason. I believe in karma 100%. Had I not lost that $1 million, I would have never looked for another deal as hard as I did. And now that deal that we bought in Boston produces multi-7 figures a year. I was going after just $100,000 a month. This deal does almost $200,000 a month. So everything happens for a reason.
Big time. Risk taker, big time.
Yeah, you got to go for it. You got to have guts, and I think the biggest players in the game, they have guts, and they take risks. If you were, my philosophy is I'm going to be 39 next month, and I had a wake up call. I'm like, tomorrow is not promised, so I go for it every day. We just put an LOI in on another deal in Miami. Go figure. A non-emergency medical transport company here in Miami. So we're taking risks. We're trying to finish up a deal in Chicago right now. So we're doing a lot. And go ahead. Sorry.
So I have a question. So you still do real estate, right? We were talking earlier. So how your business is giving you the cash flow in? You want to explain that?
Explain. So
Yes.
so here's the thing. Real estate investor back in the day. So I was struggling to pay bills, as you guys know. I needed something else. Found business acquisitions, but here's the next problem that you're going to have when you start acquiring businesses, is that you're going to acquire businesses, and all of a sudden you're going to have all this cash flow. You're like, holy shit, like I got like $1 million in the bank. Oh man, what am I going to do?
That's a good problem to have.
The tax man's coming right after you. That's the problem. So now you got all this cash, and you're like, crap. Okay, the IRS is like knocking on your door, like, hey, where's your, give me your 30%. So what happens next is it's like a full cycle. You got to go back to real estate. So my philosophy is buy the businesses for the cash flow, and then take the excess cash and then store it into real estate. And store the cash. So that's what I do. But here's the different thing that I do now that I didn't do before, is that when I first started out, look, single family, duplexes, fourplexes, all that. Look, I think you earn your rite of passage, but you got to move up the ladder. So now what we do is we buy, the businesses, take the cash from that, but now we're buying bigger stuff. We're buying commercial buildings. We're buying apartment complexes. Stuff that can generate me more passive income where I'm not having to trade my time for money anymore. So once you can get into that spot and start doing that, all of a sudden, shit's just going to start happening. Deals are going to start coming your way. People are going to believe in you. Capital is going to start flying at you left and right. It's a hell of a ride.
I think also a point that people tend to like overthink the fact that, oh, but what if I'm going to buy this business? Like, who's going to operate this business? And then that's going to bring me more work, so I'm going to be more slave to what I had before. Like, something that you can explain to them, like, it's not like as it seems. Like,
yeah, it's not like, so in real estate, in business acquisition, just like real estate, bigger is better. So imagine you buy a single family home, you have a single family home, and then you have a 75 unit apartment complex. Which one do you think is easier to manage? 75. 75 is way easier to manage than a single family home. Why? Because you're self-managing that single family home most of the time. Or number two, if you hire a manager, they're probably going to be so damn incompetent that they're going to run your property into bankruptcy or run it into foreclosure. So the solution is to go out and buy businesses, use the cash flow for that, then go buy a 75 unit apartment complex. That's what I would do. That way, all you're doing now is you're taking the cash flow and investing into passive investments where you're not trading your time anymore for money. So if you buy a single family home, which I agree, I think you need to do that. It's like earn a rite of passage. But what's going to happen is that you're going to get to a point, like let's say for instance you have like 50 single family homes. You're going to be burnt out. Like you're going to be really burnt out. You're going to say, I'm never going to do this anymore. So just do it right. Invest, work your way up the ladder, and keep building and keep growing.
I think it's like we were talking earlier. The more you do it, the more strength you have. Right?
It's the reps. It's the repetitions, and it's just like building muscle. Same exact thing. The more reps you do, the better you're going to get, and yeah.
So let me just ask you the next question. So, hearing you about you were saying about the first time that you lost this amount of money. So what would you say about coaching? Can we touch that a little bit more? Like maybe we can. Yeah.
I think like along with your question, I think like also typically people want the answer like right away. Like when they want to start like in business, flipping houses, real estate. What would be like the best advice you will tell to the people here when they want to start something else? What would be the first thing they should do?
So number one is act like the person you're trying to become, like your future self. So if you want to be a real estate investor and you're not a real estate investor, start freaking acting like a real estate investor. You can do so many things that are free that you can act like a real estate investor. You can call brokers. You can look up leads. You can run comps. You can, like for me, I remember when I was trying to learn how to manage properties, I would go into units and I'd call owners and ask them if I could lease their property out. You can look up rents. There's just so many different things you can do that are free where you can start acting like your future self if you want to be an investor.
But should they ask for help? Like how do you start? Like how do you start?
So the biggest thing for me is like when I was on my health journey, I lost 75 pounds, by the way. So I am not the same person. I'm half the person I was last year. But I got on this really big health kick, and I'm still trying to lose some weight here. But But I hired coaches, I hired mentors. So I actually just hired a nutritionist like last week. I have a trainer, I work out 3 days a week. But here's my thing, is that when I first started, I hired people that were already ahead of me and were already doing what I wanted to do. So when I got into real estate, I had a mentor. I had a guy at the bank who took me under his wing and taught me everything. I joke about it. He taught me about OPM, not the drug, OPM, other people's money. And so, he helped me understand how to raise capital. I didn't know how to raise capital. Now I do. So find the people, find the coaches and the mentors that are already doing what you want to do, and just go emulate that person or go pay them for their time. And I'm telling you, it's worth its weight in gold.
I just wanted to add something to that. I think that if you want to do it on your own, it's fine. It's going to take you longer, but if you have the capital to invest in yourself, I think you should do it.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're just starting out. If you're just starting out and you're trying to figure out which way to go, you want to invest in yourself. You want to invest up here first.
100%.
Like, if you can't get this right when you wake up out of bed every day, then you're not going to make $1 million in real estate. It's just not going to happen. And I learned that the hard way. I was going through, some shit with that deal went bad, and I realized how messed up, how not right I was up here when I was going through that adversity. So, if you can get this right up here, get your mind right, get your vision correct, get around the right people. Like these events here, I've made millions of dollars at being events like this because of the networking that I get, the vendors that I was able to hire. So continue to go to these events, but I'll tell you this, these events are good, but you can't stay here forever. So what I mean by that is, if you want to level up, you're going to be here with the newbies forever, and you don't want to be with the newbies forever. You want to level up. You want to start paying to get into bigger rooms. And so, like, example, right? How many people know Grant Cardone? Okay. Grant Cardone, he's holding an event in September. I have been to a few of his events. I'm actually not really interested in hanging out with him. I'm really interested in hanging out with his partner, Brandon Dawson, because he does M&A. And so I want to start doing more deals with those guys. And the only way that I'm going to be able to get access to them is to pay to get in the room just to have a few minutes to talk. So I'm willing to do it, because if I pay him 25 grand, shit, I could turn into like 8 figures. You know what I mean? Just having one conversation. But that is also how I changed up here. It's an abundance mindset versus the scarcity mindset of like thinking, holy shit, I'm going to drop 25 grand. Like, what if I lose it? Or what if what if he doesn't talk to me? Or what if I go there and it doesn't work out? Who gives a shit? Like, go make the connections, make it worth your while, have the abundance mindset. It's going to work out. You're going to make the connections. Things are going to go in your favor. And I'm telling you, when you start changing the stories that are up here, holy crap. Things just start happening.
How do you see money, and can you explain how you view money?
Ooh.
What is money to you? What did that mean?
Freaking love money. I love money. Who loves money? I love
money, but this is what I think. Maybe
look,
just to give you
money doesn't buy happiness, but it damn sure buys my freedom. So
yes,
I'm able to be down here on a Tuesday night from New Orleans, hanging out with you guys. My companies are working and operating, making money, and I'm able to do this and impact you guys tonight. So if I didn't have the money, I wouldn't be here.
So would you agree that money works for you? You don't work for money?
Well, yeah. So look, when you first start out, you're going to have to trade your time for money.
Right.
But
yes,
the goal is to not trade your time for money. The goal is to eventually have enough staff, have enough people to where you are the founder, you are the investor.
So how do you start if you don't have money?
Well, you better go figure out a way to go make some money.
So you know how I started when I was very young. I was like 23. And what I did is trade my time and partner with people. There's always somebody that has a need, right? And you fulfill that. And you trade the need, the need.
Look, let's say for instance they have money, right? But here's the thing about going out and using other people's money. If you don't have a track record or you don't know what you're doing, do not take capital from anyone else. You will lose it, you will get burned, and you'll never be back in that space ever again. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that if you are going to use somebody else's money, do it under mentorship, or do it under, or go out and learn yourself. Get that experience first. Prove the concept. Hey, I want to flip a house. Okay, great. Go prove the concept yourself first. make some money, show the P&L that you made money, and then take that to your next investor. Or opposite would be, go find a mentor, find somebody else that's willing to bet on you, that's going to show you the way. Maybe you pay them or you split the profits with them, and then they will be a resume builder for you in the future.
So for me, it has been a journey of knowledge, acquiring a specific knowledge. So I believe in reading whatever you need to read on that specific knowledge, and in this case, it's real estate. Do coaching, reading, and I think conference are great, and like this place too, right? But I think the boot camps that they always offer, not just Grant Cardone, but a lot of anyhow.
I just want to add something because you said something about your personal life. On my side, and I guess everybody has that. When I started, I had like no money whatsoever. And I remember I went to this Robert Kiyosaki event, and then at the end they, sold me into like this big event, it was a lot of money.
You got sold.
So I got sold. But this is something very ironic. So the first chapter of their course, it was like, hey, so for the first 2 weeks, we're not going to talk about real estate. And I'm like, what? I want to learn about real estate. And they said like, because right now you think like a poor dad. And I'm like, oh, that hit me hard. If you haven't read the book, read the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And immediately I call and I cancel. And I was, man, I need to, and I was like, find ways to whatever. I started looking around. And then Ty Lopez showed up. Here in my garage with whatever. So, but guess what? It really changed my life. Then he started selling that 67 steps. And on that 67 steps, he goes and he teaches you for 67 days, like knowledge, like how rich people think, like how like people that is creating wealth think. And it just built yourself into that habit of like learning and soaking up information, and that whole period led me to other things of like spending money, going to the right room. It was like a lapse of like 3 years. And then after that, it got me to real estate. And I think like we overcomplicate things. And when you can start, like a mentor's on the book. A mentor could be a friend. A mentor can be like being on events like this. So I think if you open yourself and just try to see the positive side, like, you know what, I'm just going to move towards abundance, towards success. Things will come through your way.
Yeah, and then also too, you were going in that direction, I think, about instant gratification a little bit. That is one thing that I feel like in today's society we have like a huge problem with. So what I mean by that is you have all these gurus online. You go scroll through your Instagram feed, you're gonna see how to make $1 million in 30 days. How to become rich and live the remote lifestyle on your laptop on the beach. It's a bunch of bullshit. Like really, at the end of the day. Yeah, at the end of the day, all you have to, you just do the work. You have to take the action.
Yes.
There are no shortcuts. I'll tell you, I've been at it now for almost 20 years and grinding like hard at it for 20 years. There are no shortcuts. I've lost it. I've made it back. I've lost it again, made it back. And so you just have to have that persistence and understand that every time you see a cheat code or every time you think there's a lazy way to do it, just don't do it. Just put in the work. Do it right. And usually at the end of the day, you won't get burned. Like I know there's a few people right now. There's another group. They got burned really hard on some Amazon stores. And again, right? Amazon stores, quick, easy way to make like $100,000 a month. And then all of a sudden they realize they buy the store, and then boom, it blows up. So nothing is, like I'm probably gonna piss off a lot of people, but like NFTs, like all the crazy monkeys and all this stuff. Like remember the virtual real estate stuff. All that craziness, where is it now? It's gone. All these people invested hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's just boom, gone in thin air. So don't go after the fads. Invest in solid cash flowing businesses first. Then take your money and turn it back into real estate. Trust me, you can't go wrong.
This is more like a technical question. Are you doing the underwriting for all of your acquisitions, or you have like a special team that helps you out to how to determine these deals?
Yeah, so our first deal I did all the underwriting myself. I did all the due diligence myself. I did pretty much everything. But I did that because I wanted to learn. I wanted to get the experience, and I wanted to be able to use that knowledge so that when I did my second and third deal, I knew I couldn't get screwed over because I did it myself. I understood. So now, we lost all that money in Miami. I hired an M&A firm out of Miami, and I'm sorry, an M&A attorney out of Miami, and they now do all of our due diligence. And so every deal we have, we send it to them. Look, it costs money, but at the end of the day, it keeps me from losing millions of dollars again. And so I highly recommend, you hire professionals. So make sure you set up your team. Like, I used to coach real estate, and so one of the things that I used to tell my students was, make sure the number one thing you do after you leave here today, when I was with them when we had our first meeting, is go and establish your A team. Get your CPA, get your lender, get your handyman, get your entire team together, so that when you're ready to go to the market, you got your A players. You're ready to go and you're ready to crush it. Because a lot of people will go to the market, they're like, hey, I want to go buy a property, and then they're like, oh shit, I need a handyman. Oh no, I need a plumber. Oh, I need a roofer. Do it ahead of time. Get those connections first. Get a lender, in your corner where you can use them over and over again, and it saves you a lot of time, a lot of headache, a lot of guessing games, and
Sometimes, even though you do your homework on creating your team, you will lose, title company or your contractor. It's okay. You continue to create a team again. Sometimes people get discouraged because they lose the team.
Look, anything you do, whether you do business acquisitions, whether you're investing in Bitcoin, whether you're investing in real estate, flips, wholesale, sub-2, whatever you do, you're gonna face adversity. So just don't think you're immune to it. It's gonna happen. Just understand that, and this is one thing that I always tell myself, is just remember, this too shall pass. Like, you're not gonna be at the top forever, but you're not gonna be at the bottom forever either. So if you can remember that next time you're going through a shitstorm, just know it will pass. Just hang in there. You'll get through it. It doesn't last forever, and just keep plugging forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna add two things here. Along with that, on my first flip, I remember I was struggling a lot with squatters, and for the first time in my life, I had feelings that I never thought I would have of but I learned something. Like, right away, fear surrounds you. And the first thing that I did, because I bought it through my firm, through the firm that I work with, I told Andy, like, hey man, like, I don't know, like, should I back out? And he goes, like, he looks at me, he's like, you're a big boy now. And it kept me thinking, and I'm like, you know what? That's right. For such a long time, I've been desiring to be playing with the big boys. Now act like a big boy, and then just figure it out. So I think that's the best advice that I can give, we could give, I guess. And that's one thing. And then the other thing, parenthesis, here, if you want to build that team, you can leverage here. Like, we have hard money lending here, private lending, we have wholesalers, we have realtors, we may have handyman. I haven't seen a handyman here. And then when a big parenthesis, by the way, they have a happy hour. They extended the happy hour until 9. So you want to take advantage of that. Oh, okay, so let me pass.
No. He's right. I mean, you can make or build your team here in this group. I mean, there's many groups, but I believe that we have a good group. I think we have. I don't know if title company here, but for sure we have mortgage brokers. Do you guys want to raise your hands? Mortgage brokers, realtors, any realtors? What about wholesalers? Wholesalers in the house? Oh, private money, there you go. Private money. And passive investors? Any passive investors? Any active investors? There you go. Wow. We have. What about contractors? Oh, we have a couple of architects. Yes. Architects right now? Any architect?
Right there.
Oh, there he is. How are you? And then we have, what else? Did we miss? Engineers. Any engineer? Okay. No? We have them? Okay. Contractors, that's what I was going to ask. That's what we're missing. We do have a few contractors, yes. Okay.
Don't forget to put your information in that little box so that we can add you into the community, and also we're going to have a raffle at the end. No, I want to open it up for Q&A. Q&As.
You mentioned about
What's your name? I'm sorry.
Oh, my name is Brenda. I'm a federal mortgage loan officer, and also trying to think about making some investments as well. I just recently took some money out of my equity of my home to start making some investments. With that being said, you mentioned, which I never realized, business acquisition. Is there a website that you could recommend?
Yeah. Bizbuysell.com. Go on there and dive in, and there are hundreds of thousands of listings on there. Yeah, there's a lot.
Hello. So my name is Tech.
Hey, man.
And recently, earlier you were talking about like how you started, and I was just like trying to get some more insight on how you started and how long it took.
Yeah, so I got started in real estate in 2008, right before the crash. Look, I didn't have any money back then, so I had to figure out how to manage real estate. I wanted to invest in real estate. I couldn't invest then because I didn't have any cash. So this is what I did, and this is probably the, in today's society, people would look at this like the not right way to do it, but this is what I did. I took on a second job. I started driving as an NEMT driver. So I drove NEMT. I took every single paycheck that I had. So I had my main source of income, which was my active income, and then I took a second job. I took that paycheck, I put it into a separate account, put it in there until I hit about $35,000. It took me about almost 2 years to hit it. So put that money aside, and I used that as my first down payment. Remember, like I was talking about earlier, proving the concept? I did it myself one time. I proved the concept. I did a burn. I bought the property at under like 70% of the LTV. I then rehabbed the property. This is another cool thing. So I became my own contractor. For a little tip for you guys out here that are in real estate, I don't know what Florida's laws are like, but in Louisiana, I became my own contractor. What that allowed me to do was that allowed me to eat, like money-wise, while I was waiting to get paid on the back end when I did the refinance. So you have to remember, cash flow didn't come right during the rehab phase. There's nobody there to pay rent. So how are you going to make money? Well, I made money because I acted as the contractor. So when I did the estimates, I put in the estimate, framing, $10,000, I took $5 off the top. So I paid myself for project management. And so that's how I ate. I did that for hundreds and hundreds of flips. That's like, right there, that's a couple grand advice I just gave you guys, like literally off the top. So, and you can do that with hard money lending. You can do it with, who's a hard money lender in here? Okay, I'm sure you're familiar with people being their own contractors, right? And does that happen all the time, what I just told you? Yes, okay. So, I mean, look, right there, that's an easy way to make money to feed yourself while you're waiting to get paid on the back end. You just can't take advantage of it because they will look at the estimates. If it looks out of line, they'll say, hey, this doesn't look right.
You have to know the scope of work.
Yep.
We look at the scope of work and what you allocate towards different costs, and it's got to make sense. So
Of course.
I help my investors work on the scope of work and put it together so it makes sense.
Absolutely.
The labor costs and whatnot.
Yep, labor, material, all that. Yep, absolutely. So that's what I did. I drove NEMT, I invested the extra money, saved up my first down payment. Then after that, I proved the concept, and then I started raising capital through other investors. And then that's how I just started raising, millions of dollars and buying properties and burning them out. Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. I kept using the same capital over and over and over, and then built up a huge portfolio. So that's how I got started. Look, it wasn't the ideal way, but I had to do that. That was the only way that I could do it because I had nobody to believe in me at the time, other than myself. So, I mean, you could do house stacking, absolutely, yeah. But, yeah, absolutely, yep.
Now, here you go.
How you doing? Good night.
What's going on, man?
Good. Thank you for coming. Akeem, I had a question for you. So, for someone that's comfortable and familiar running numbers on residential and then commercial real estate, what's the gap between running those numbers and then running them with business acquisition? I think you speak a little bit to the underwriting process, but when you went first for that first underwriting process, what was the difference and how did you fill that gap in knowledge?
It's really not. It's not that different from commercial real estate because all you're doing is you're looking at a P&L for a single-family home or a commercial deal, and you're looking at a P&L for a business. The only thing I will say that is different between business acquisitions and real estate is that in business acquisitions, you have to be prepared to be a leader. So if you can't lead people, you can't get in front of a crowd, or you can't get in front of a group of your employees, and you can't lead them and show them the vision, then business acquisitions may not be for you. It's not a passive investment opportunity. It can be passive. Like now, we have 6 companies now. So now I'm completely passive. I have days where I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like I have nothing to do. And you can ask Mark. I mean, I twiddle my thumbs. That's because we have the cash flow now to support a full staff that manages our GMs in each individual location. So when you first start out, you are the man. You are everything. You are the leader. You are the dog. Like you know what I mean? You got to be there for everybody. So you can get past that point and get past like 2 and 3 acquisitions under your belt. That's when the dial really turns up, because then you start getting money thrown at you. People want to do deals with you, and then you don't have to take that leadership role as much as you would in the beginning. You can hire, like we have a CFO now, CEO, COO. I'm just kind of in the back, like kind of pushing them, making sure we're hitting our goals and our numbers. So, but in the beginning, completely different. So back to your question, the statements are completely the same.
Hey Josh,
Hey,
my
what's
name is
going on?
Jordan.
Hey.
So, just to change, not the topic, I'm not going to change the topic. I heard about your wins and loss. The question is, if you have to go all over again, would you change something that you
100%.
regret?
Yeah.
Yeah?
100%.
And why?
I would have invested in business acquisitions in 2008. My portfolio right now would be it'd be in the billions. Yeah, it'd be huge.
But you mentioned that the loss that you got, the one that you told us,
Yep.
you learned a lot, and
Knowing
you
what
gained.
knowing what I know now. So I went through what I learned, right? Now I know what I know. If I was able to get a chance to start over and go back, knowing what I know, I would have invested in businesses in 2008.
But you probably, if you did that, you believe you would be
But-
ending up right here in the same spot, or?
Probably not. Probably not. And that's okay too. But that's also to say that I still invest in real estate. So just because I would change my approach in 2008, I would have had the same problem that I have today, which I have too much cash flow. So I got to go back to I got to go back to the well. Got to go back to buy properties. But you just buy bigger properties because you're getting that cost seg, you're getting that bonus depreciation. You know, you're getting that depreciation. That's what I need. And so yeah, I mean, but it all kind of comes full circle. You know, it's a different approach, but it's all still the same thing. If that makes sense. What's that? Yes, you do. Startups are for suckers. Do not buy a startup, okay? You need to buy an active cash flowing business. I get people pitch me every single day. I got this great idea. I want to open up a pet grooming salon and do AI technology on the pets. Don't do that. Just buy, what's that? Yeah, no, say buy a business that's already actively cash flowing. Go into, not a little bit. So for me, like, yeah, so SBA rules are you have to put 10% down to acquire a business. So yeah, SBA loan. So you can buy a $1.5 million business, 10% down to 150 grand. That'll cash flow you probably another 150,000 in cash flow. So let's just think about this for a second. Let's say, for instance, you have a $1.5 million business. You go out and you go to the marketplace. You find a partner that's got 150,000 in cash, and you pitch to them. And you say, "Hey, look, I'm going to be the operator. I'm going to run this show. I'm going to grow this business. I'm going to take it to the moon." And you have this this investor that says, "All right, you be the operator. I'll give you 150K." Now you split. Maybe you give the operator, maybe you give him 75K. You keep 75K. Now you have zero money in the deal. But here's the great thing about businesses that you can't do with real estate, is that you can grow that top line, and that bottom line is going to start growing too. So in real estate, you can only raise the rent so high, right? You're capped out. You hit a ceiling, all of a sudden it's like, crap, can't raise it anymore. Insurance keeps going up, taxes are going up, the roof's got to be replaced. Business acquisitions, I'm living proof of it. We had the same exact thing. I took over a business, weren't making a whole lot of money, went in there, we raised our cost board 40%, raised our top line revenue by 40%, raised all of our prices, and now we're cash flowing incredible. But you can't do that with rental real estate. It's just there's not enough room. So I don't even know what the original question was. I completely off course.
Yeah, so I have another question.
Sure.
You mentioned about the losses, not losses, but that you were you had all these properties, you were flipping properties, but at the end of the day, you had a lot of equity and net worth, but you didn't have the cash. So I want to understand, how did you get to that point? Like, what were the mistakes that you did that you would have done differently? You know, for newbies here or for whoever who's trying to flip or all that.
I'm going to be honest with you, and this is the #1 mistake that I learned in 2008, and I freaking did it myself. One word you don't want to ever do: over leverage. I over leveraged to the moon. The Bird method, as you guys know, you're going and pulling out all the cash of the deal and taking it and putting it into your pocket. Well, not your pocket. You're giving it back to your private. For me, I was giving it back to my private money lenders. I over leveraged to the point where, you know, I was trying to pull a certain amount off of the properties each month to live comfortably, and I couldn't pull that much money off because, you know, every month it seemed like an AC would go out. Every month the hot water heater would break. Every month somebody flooded the upstairs unit into the downstairs unit. So, and I had 330 rentals at the time, 330 units. So you do the math on that, and when you have a lot of those things go on, and these aren't like, I didn't have apartment complexes. I had single families, doubles, 10-plexes, 20-plexes, all the shit you don't want to have in a huge portfolio. And I just said, F it, I got rid of it. And I got rid of it, took my equity out, and then started investing in businesses, and then I started investing in the bigger properties where if something like that happened, it wouldn't affect the cash flow as much because, you know, you have that CapEx built in, you have the room built in, and then in addition to that, I'm not over leveraged, right? Because I'm taking cash from the business that went into my pocket, and then now I'm taking that cash, putting it as a down payment, versus the opposite was I was taking private money, buying rehab, renting, and then refinancing, taking all the cash out and giving it back to the private lender, and I got this gigantic mortgage over here that was just eating into my profit. So just don't over leverage.
Sorry,
Yep,
Josh.
yep.
How are you?
Hey,
Carolina.
good. How are you? Hey.
This is my husband, Tom, and we
Hey, Tom.
are active, passive investors, I guess. Question, and not to stray too far from the real estate aspect of it, but is it products, is it services? What are you gravitating towards when you're doing or analyzing these like businesses that you're
Talking about like the sectors that I'm in.
Right, what sectors
Yeah.
are you
So right now we're in school. We're in special needs school transportation. We're in non-emergency medical transportation, and we own a med spa in Orlando. Kind of weird that way that one happened. We have a property management company as well, and then we have another special needs transport company in Chicago that we're under contract for. That being said, the only reason why I am in those lanes is because I bought in one vertical and now I'm sticking to it. And here's the reason why. The reason why is that when you start buying companies and you can start stacking up a bunch of companies, it's called a roll-up, where you're rolling up all these companies into under one umbrella, which our umbrella is JW Global Enterprises. They own all of our individual entities. So we will buy one sector, like we'll buy the special needs transportation sector. Let's say, for instance, I buy 3 more of these. Now I have 5. I have 5 special needs transportation companies across the country. I can then go to a private equity firm where I would buy, let's say, for instance, you're the seller. I buy a special needs transportation company from you, and I pay you 3x on the cash flow. So 3x on the cash. Say you're making $1 million a year in cash flow. I'm going to give you, who's your name again?
Carolina.
Carolina. I'm going to give you $3 million for your $1 million in cash flow a year. You're going to say, okay, Josh, no problem. Take my $3 million, bam, I give it to you. Now, I got your company. Now I got $1 million in cash flow rolling. Let's say I do that 5 more times. Now I have $5 million in cash flow. But this is the kicker. That is at the regular retail rate. Like that's the mom and pop market rate. When you can start getting $5 million or more in EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation, you can get $5 million or more in cash flow EBITDA. Then you can go to the private equity firms and say, hey, I built this conglomerate here. We have $5 million in cash flow. We have a holding company that manages all the entities. They're going to say, look, Josh, we'll pay you 8x. So you just bought it for 3. Now you just got 8. So I can't do math. What's 8 times 5? 40. So your what is 3 times 15? So you paid $15 million, and you were able to exit at 40. Sorry, my brain, I don't know. So you're able to enter at 15, exit at 40, while you're getting $5 million a year to win. That's the difference.
Hi Josh, my
Hey.
name is Alvaro.
do you recommend like a Kickstart course or something to learn more about that business acquisition, or a mentor, or?
Yeah, I don't coach anymore, but what I do is I do consulting calls. So if you just go follow me on social media at The Real Josh Wilson, go click on my bio. I have some consulting calls in there. Just call me. We can have a 15, 30-minute conversation. And I can, just like we're doing now, having this conversation, I can do the exact same thing with you and help you kind of get on the right path.
Real Josh what?
At The Real Josh Wilson. I'm the one and the only. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, my name is Cara.
Hey.
I'm curious with the current interest rates. So, looking to get into my first flip, and I have a decent amount of equity in my current single family, but I have a great interest rate. So, part of me doesn't want to mess that up. I'm curious as to your thoughts on how to.
Meaning you don't want to sell it?
Or like refi, I don't know.
Yeah, so you have a single family home, you have equity in it, and you're looking to use the equity to go invest, right? Okay. I mean, if it was me, I would do a HELOC, right? And use a line of credit. So when you finish your flip, you pay your money back. And then interest rates don't matter. It's just the cost of using the capital, you know?
Hi, my name is Han. I'm a mortgage broker owner. I'm an investor myself. So I have questions regarding to the industry that you mentioned. What is the reason you choose that industry, and what is your plan to whether go with different vertical, and what is your investment thesis?
Look, the reason why I got in that industry is not sexy by any means. It's just because it makes money. We make a lot of money, and you know, so that's really why we got into it. But I'll tell you, if you know, I am also looking at other spaces. Not as much now because I'm in that vertical, because my goal is to exit it to PE. So I'm trying to build that vertical up. If I wasn't in that vertical, I would be looking at home services. So pest control, HVAC, landscaping, garage doors, plumbing, electrical, you know, anything to do with your house. Why? Because right now everyone is so, and especially with interest rates back in the, I call it the lottery years when we had COVID. When we had the lottery years, everybody was making uber gobs of money. We had those interest rates at like 2%. So those people aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So you need to go and be able to service their home. Example, right? It's Florida. It's in probably the middle of January and it's hot outside. Some people are going to pay their AC bill over their mortgage bill. Just same thing like in Louisiana and New Orleans. It gets like 108 in the summer. If I owned an HVAC company in New Orleans, I would kill it because people are going to pay their HVAC bill before they pay the mortgage. So, you know, home services is where it's at.
Kind of piggybacking on Kara's question. So I'm a real estate investor as well. I own multiple properties. All of them have really, really good equity and cash flow, so I don't want to touch it because they also have really good interest rates. I've been trying to get into flipping. However, when I go to banks for HELOCs or anything like that, they say I'm over leveraged. And I thought that with private money, it was like 25% down. However, a lot of private lenders that I'm talking to, because it would be my first time flipping, they're asking to be added on title of one of my properties, or sometimes even two of my properties. Is that a common thing? Is there any
they're trying to secure their interests. I mean, if you know, if you came to me for money, I would want some collateral. Like I want to know, like if you screw up, how am I going to be able to get my money back? You know, so I mean, it's pretty common, especially since you're just starting out. But once you do one or two, that won't happen anymore. You'll be able to get the money, or what you do is you find somebody else that you can partner with, you know, as well, and partner with them as, you know, as say you bring the deal. Like I'm bringing you the deal, you give me the money, and do it that way. You know.
Open to team up, guys.
Hey Josh, how's it going?
Hey man, what's happening?
I got a quick question for you.
Yep.
Why would you put this money into real estate when you could just put it into a new business?
Because it's wealth building, and I need the depreciation. So the problem is that, let's say for instance, like last year, they made like $4.5 million. I mean, I had a huge tax problem. Like that's all pure cash, and so I had to go buy assets to offset that. So I don't want to pay the man. I haven't paid him in a long time, you know. So that's the reason why I did it.
I have a follow-up.
Go ahead.
George, please.
I feel like I'm on a town hall for moderator.
I was going to ask, couldn't you roll it back into the business and have some expenses?
I mean, yeah, I could, but here's the reason why I don't. The reason why is because if you want to sell at some point down the road, you're going to have nasty books, and I'll never be able to sell. So I keep my books clean as a whistle, and so that way when I go to sell, there's no questions. There's no personal expenditures going through, and I just go and buy real estate in another holding company and get the same benefit as I would of trying to create nasty books by muddling up the waters of personal expenses. So
if you sell the company or the business, it's going to show more cash flow.
oh yeah. My tax returns look like hellacious, but it's great. It's great for the IRS, but if I'm trying to save money, it doesn't look that great. So. But I'm doing that for a reason. I want to exit one day, and I have to have good tax. Yeah.
So, you just had one more question. I think this question is going to be from all of us. I
Sure.
speak for all of us.
Yeah.
If you have too much cash flow and you need a tax write-off, I was thinking maybe you gift all of us whatever will come out of the side.
Hey, I do lend money. I have a lending company.
No, gifting is your tax write-off.
I do, but it's only in Louisiana, unfortunately. So. Yeah.
And Mark, I need a deal.
You gotta manifest it.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. Nancy and I, we want to be able to extend a special thanks for this community that have grown so drastically, and we want to actually take the opportunity to announce something that we've been working so hard for such a long time. And I don't know if you guys knew, but for the last few events, we've been purposely doing this together, because we actually been joining forces along with Faith, and we right now we're creating a program basically inspired on what the young lady here, with Victoria. Catering to that specific need of first-time flippers, and knowing that the first-time flipper, they always encounter themselves with that situation. Sometimes we've been able to see people that they just enter into a deal right away. They put a deposit, and then they're like, oh, but nobody wants to lend me any money. Yeah, because you don't have any experience. So based on that, we are creating a program in which you as a new flipper will be able to get the credential, not just learn and go through a course, but also be able to get your hands dirty and learn from A to C, being part of an opportunity, so that ultimately will allow you to get more opportunities for yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. You covered the whole thing. I just want to say thank you for Josh. Thank you so much. Can we? Thank you.